This video tonight, today, whatever time you watch it, has to do with what you see behind me on the screen. About 5 years ago, it was the most famous, if not popular, film on movie theater screens everywhere across the United States. It's called The Hunger Games. My video title is pretty much self-explanatory. The whole film and the premise of what it's about have undertones of what Obama intended to do to the United States and still does. And this has been now 4 years since the movie came out, or 5 years since the movie was released. In a nutshell and in one word, let me say what it is. It's socialism is where your views, your life is controlled by a higher authority who decide what you do, how you live your life, what happens on a day-to-day basis, and the Hunger Games was exactly that. These people lived under a totalitarianistic governmental system. It's never explained how they became so dependent on the government, but that they were living below poverty level. They were living in shacks inside literal camps, and that in itself has direct references to Obama's FEMA death camps that he initiated. People are going to say, well, that didn't happen. Well, you can't say it isn't going to happen either, because if he instigated it, it means he's put it on hold until he comes right back into power again to continue his regime that he started in 2008. When I saw the film last night, I came away really agitated, and I think it had a very, very obvious subliminal, it felt like they were projecting to the audience one opinion of why when kids went to theaters and saw it, they fell in love with the Hunger Games, because it had so much to do with what Obama was instigating during the first term that he had from 2008 until 2012. Now that's when Hunger Games came out in movie theaters. I never wanted to see it. I feel like that I had a chance to get a copy. It was only $1. I took it, played it last night, and it just, every single moment I watched it, I saw so many things about Obama that people now are brainless to see what he was saying in that film about what he wants for America. You're subjugated. You live the way he tells you to. The whole storyline of the Hunger Games is that each district had 2 people that were chosen to fight, and that in the end, out of 24 people, 1 person survived. Everybody else was killed. And that is why I think the premise of the Hunger Games was so well accepted by especially the young people. And now, 5 years after the fact, these young people are the ones who want homosexuality. They want forced acceptance of gay marriage in our society. They want forced acceptance of opiates, which now everybody is kind of like scratching their heads and saying, why is it getting out of control? Because you wanted it. Socialism is about giving people what they want, and then once you've got it, they keep giving it to you because they're going to control you over and over and over again until you're so wasted, you're so dependent on what they gave you that you can't accept anything else. You must live the way they tell you to. Obama did that for 8 years as president of this country. He would say it. You can't do it without the government. You can't do anything without the government. He hypocritically put down our whole fundamental system of government and said, you didn't build that, somebody else made that happen. He's saying, we aren't who we are because we aren't anything unless Obama himself said, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to make you, because then you're going to feel like you belong to something. In other words, people kind of like were alienated by the past 60 and 70 years because people knew what was right or wrong. Then he brainwashed them and said, this is the way you're going to live. And so they're kind of like, they're sponges that have been squeezed out. Now they don't know who they are anymore. They don't have an identity. So then Obama said, okay, this is what I wanted. I wanted you to be brainless zombies. Now this is how I'm going to make you. This is what I'm going to make you. You're going to be dependent on the government, and I'm going to give you everything you ever wanted. I'm going to give you opiates. I'm going to give you free welfare checks. And all of this, all instigated around the push about allowing illegal immigrants to come into the United States free of charge. He gave them a free driver's license. He gave them everything free to entice them. And those same people are the people who now are being seen as, oh, they're being suppressed and they're being deported back, and yet these are the same people who are killing young girls, young boys, men and women. And why? Because they came here as illegal immigrants having criminal records that were like 5 miles long, and the Mexicans didn't want them. So Obama said, come on in, I have no problem with whatever background you have. We'll let you live here for free. You can kill anybody you want. Don't believe it? It was Obama who instigated sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are little havens of places where the illegals can go, the Muslims can go, the degenerates, the depravitated, they can live in these little nestle eggs where law enforcement can't go, and they can just conjugate and build on that hate that they have. And then once Islam says, sleeper cells, wake up, we have to use you now to destroy America, they come out of those sanctuary cities. Now, Chicago is really a sanctuary city itself because in the last year or 2 years, they've said that on an average month, there's 1,000 people that are murdered in Chicago. Now, that proves to me that law enforcement can't do their job, but more importantly, it's because Obama told them, we don't need you in these places because that's where they want to live and that's what we're going to do for them. We're not going to mess with them anymore. Now, I'm getting off track with what's about the Hunger Games, but it all directly ties in with Obama's viewpoints of socialism and total dependence and acceptability of what he said to the American people. I'm going to give you everything you want, but you got to do what I tell you to do, which is continually do everything possible to destroy America, destroy what it represents. When you can do that, he really thought Hillary would be elected because he had already brainwashed pretty much the entire society. There was a little sliver, thank goodness there's a little sliver of sane people in America who voted, and they put Trump in there because they said, we don't want this horse crap anymore. We don't want to live this way anymore. And when I saw Hunger Games last night, I just saw in an 8-year frame of time what people saw 4 years past of what Obama's plans were, and nobody got it. Only people who saw anything was what Obama had been telling them when he became president in 2008. This is socialism, this is how it's going to be, this is the way you're going to live. End of discussion, live it, because this is all there is. And people not only accepted it, they just love it. They still love it. Obama's been gone now for 8 months. And not one day has gone by that the media has ever said anything respectable, non-biased towards Donald Trump, the president, because we voted for him as president of the United States. We wanted him as our president. We still want him. Except for that group of people who Obama controlled for 8 years, and this is the potheads, the people who pushed over and over again about legalizing marijuana legalizing heroin, legalizing all types of opiates. Now it's totally out of control. Does anybody wonder why is that? Why is the opioid epidemic totally out of control in America? Because you wanted it. That's why. The American people, the American pothead, the American degenerate, the ones who are calling themselves atheists and say, we don't need morality anymore, we don't need nothing, we just live the way we want to. Society destroys itself when there is no law and order. And Trump said that the day he took office. People have to live by certain rules because that's how it's always been. And now you think because you want to change it, it's going to be all better? Well, in 8 months' time, not through the fault of Trump, we see what's happened. Obama is gone. He's telling his socialist regime, keep the system going. Keep it going day after day, because these people have no brains. They're going to do it exactly the way I've told them to. And that's what's been happening ever since. So Trump is like beside himself, just like me and so many other sane people, thinking, how come people ain't getting it? Why aren't they accepting the fact that Hillary Clinton lost, Trump is president, we have to unite and stand with President Trump because he's our president. Every president, from Trump back to George Washington, have all accepted the presidency, whoever it was, and they've said, we have to unite and stand with the president because he is the chief executive officer. Not true in 2017. Potheads are those individuals who want to live like the 60 hippie who said, we're going to live on LSD until the day we drop. A lot of them did drop. And all you got to do is look in history and you can see that. These potheads now have a more modern 21st century version of an opiate that still, as lethal as it is, they figured, well, we can control it. We can still have the high and not worry about what society might say because it's now legal. But it still kills. The Tennessee mayor or governor or whatever her representation, she lost her son because of an opioid overdose. You know what she said? Oh, I just feel good. My son emailed me the last day before he died and sent me a text saying, I love you. It's like your kid's dead and all you can say is, I'm glad he sent me a text message saying, I love you. If you cared about your son, you would have been trying to stop the opioid epidemic because she knew he was taking the stuff and she didn't care. She didn't want to care. The Hunger Games itself is a flash forward event to show you what it's going to be like under Obama's socialist regime. And though it hasn't happened yet, folks, it's still coming because Obama's still controlling everything. Everything is going on every single day. And people are just oblivious to everything. They don't care. They don't want to care. Rational thought in America ended in 2008. When Obama became president, every black in the United States said, he's going to pay my bills. He's going to pay my bills. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to obliterate normalcy. He's going to obliterate common sense in America, and he did. And now, even though Obama's gone, the establishment he created in Washington is still carrying out those same mandates that Obama began in 2008. They're over and over again putting down Trump. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't mess with Obama's whatever it might be, whether it be health care, whether it be what he did, because the potheads are all like, we want more marijuana. We want to be totally wasted. And they're supporting the Socialist Democrats. They're supporting what they instigated in this country. And what is so totally screwed up is that if you watch Hunger Games in the context of what the producers intended people to see, which is, this is what Obama is telling you. You get it, but you don't get it because you don't want to get it. I bring up a Bible verse in Revelation. It says this: those who don't want to see the truth, God says in the end times, He'll allow them to believe it, even though it's a lie. They'll accept it because God says, I'm not going to show them that it's a lie, that it's a false statement. And what the press is doing to President Trump, bringing up this thing about Russia and about the involvement of Russia, and they keep tying it all in, trying to say, this is true, this is what's happened, it was a falsity, it was a fraud from the start that was instigated when Trump became the president on Inauguration Day. It's like this lie that people have believed since Al Gore was vice president. He kept saying to people, global warming is real. And he kept saying it over and over. And then all of a sudden one day, the scientific community or whoever it was, they said, this is a lie. The whole thing is a fraud. And then all of a sudden, what happened to Al Gore? He disappeared. Nobody saw him anymore. Now he's back because now he's got more backers. He's got more people sponsoring the crap he tried to lie to people about. Global warming, climate change is a lie. Just like what Obama did for 8 years as President of the United States was a lie. And the Hunger Games, if you really look at it for what it shows in the whole film, you're going to see Obama's face staring right out at you in the background. Because it's Obama who they were talking about. It was Obama who could have very likely written the script and said, this is what I'm doing to America. Now let's not be obvious and tell them, oh, we can't do that. We can't do this. We can't say this. It's too obvious. They're stupid. They're blind. But we still have to make it look like it's real. And that's what Obama did. And now in the last 5 years, I was at the store yesterday and I saw that 2 more volumes of the Hunger Games have come out. And I was thinking, you got brainwashed when you saw it the first time, and now they're bringing out 2 more volumes of the movie? The answer for that's quite obvious. If your head is Swiss cheese, it ain't going to matter. Because you're going to hear it. You're only going to hear what they want you to hear. They're going to do it because that's what they're telling you. This is true. This is real. Look at all the great action, all the rest of it. They didn't even see the little insignificant background references to it's okay to kill other people. It's all about your survival. You know what that all ties into? Darwinism. Survival of the fittest. Evolution. You kill somebody or they're going to kill you. That's what the Hunger Games was all about. You got to kill him, you got to kill her, or they're going to kill you. That is a rationale, I think, that permeates how we're seeing people around us today shooting each other, killing your children, drowning them, putting them in ovens, blowing them away, and you're thinking, who thinks that way? Because Obama pushed it into your head, that's why. Obama kept telling you that over and over again. You want marijuana? Here it is. Smoke yourself into total oblivion. And marijuana is now that. NBC News about a month ago, I saw this laughable story. This woman is saying, I can use marijuana and still be a great parent. And I was thinking, what happens when your kid gets the marijuana and says, Mommy smokes this, I can smoke this, puffs it? The kid's now addicted. But that's not entirely unfair to say that, because that's what parents kept saying about kids to begin with. That's why it became legal all over the United States. Potheads kept saying, my kid must have medical marijuana. My kid has to have heroin. My kid has to have whatever. Because medically, they have to have it. And now, probably in 5 years' time, those same parents are going to say, boy, was I stupid. My kid's now dead because they took too much of it.